Great serve. Look at that. How do I know that that is a great serve? If I'm here on my own with a basket of balls, just me, how do I know that's a great serve? Is it because it went where I wanted it to go? Is it because the second bounce went past the baseline? Is it because the ball landed out of the court? How do I know that it's a good serve? For me, simply, you don't know. Realistically, and I'm trying to be as realistic as possible now, how do I know that's a good serve? I need some kind of feedback, not from a coach stood there, and we've all done it and I've done it. We need somebody down there hitting those balls back. If I teach someone a slice serve, fantastic. They might get it. They might get, say, 2 points out of their game. A smart returner will go, okay, he likes a wide serve, so I'll stand wide. All of a sudden, you can, but they've blocked that corridor off for you to hit into. So now they'll probably get the return back. So now you've got to think of another way or another area to hit. I don't know. I've just been learning a slice serve. So now that's all you've got, because you've had no feedback at all. So for me, I always recommend you getting somebody down that end. They don't have to be amazing. A beginner could at least try and get to the ball. Fair enough, they might not get it over, but it's more feedback than you would have just landing that ball over and in. I've no means saying don't do it. Come to your centre with some balls, have a little hit before you know, on a session, before you play a match. Of course, we need to warm up. We need to get a bit of kind of fluency. We need to practice some of the things we've been working on, of course. But I wouldn't say come down for an hour and do it, because it's, for me personally, it's not beneficial. And I've done it myself. And then I'll go into a match and you don't serve the same. You do not serve the same, and you'll feel it. I'll go into a match, did this last year, went to a match and served so softly. I come back here for 45 minutes and I'll smack them and they'll be decent. But how do I know they're good? Until I've got somebody on the other end hitting them back at me. And that's a big thing I found last year playing some matches. So I served good here on my own. As soon as I got to a match where realistic feedback, they were getting pummeled at me. So for me personally is always have somebody down there, the other end, as a returner to just give you realistic feedback, because otherwise you do not know if that's a good serve. When you're playing a match, you're going to have somebody down there. And your serve will determine on obviously their strengths and their weaknesses, your strengths and your weaknesses, and also where they're stood on the court, where they're positioned. So if they're really far back, you could just underarm them in a short one and get a point. Then they might be stood really forward, and then you hit one a little bit deeper, or a bit more spin, a bit more height, and then they're going to have to force back. You always want to keep changing your serve. And the best way to get a feel of this is to have somebody down the other end trying to get those balls back. So that's just a little tip I've been kind of thinking about recently, of when you're trying to practice your serve, get a returner. Get them to feed you back get some feedback from your serve, rather than just coming here for an hour and just doing it yourself.